Okay, good afternoon, class. At this point, we're busy with exponential and log functions. We are on exercise. The homework was exercise 3. 4 and 5. Okay. Exercise 4. Where's 4? Yeah. That is 3. You sure it's 4? Oh, yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, out of exercise 4, I'm going to do 1.1, 1.3, 1.5. Is that okay? But you guys had no problems there as usual? No problems? Oh, shh. I'll just do as I normally do. Talk to myself. And this on page 55. Alright, exercise 4 on page 55. I'm going to do the odd numbers for you. Okay? So we are told to draw the graphs of f of x and g of x on the same system of axes. Show clearly the intercepts or the axis and the coordinates of 2 points on each curve. Write down the equation of the line about which f and g are symmetrical if there is one. Number 1.1. So we got f of x equals log x base 4. Okay? So if I go for the inverse function, interchange x and y, so x is equal to log y base 4, so y is equal to 4 to the x. But do the table for this here, it will be x and y minus 1, 0 and 1, will be a quarter, 1 and 4. However, the graph would be that is minus 1, 0 and 1. It will be a quarter, 1 and 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So a quarter is with minus 1, 1 and 0, and 4 and 1. This point of 4 and 1 is a bit on the graph, supposed to. So this is the graph of f. Okay, let's look at the graph of g. Same story. But if you know the values, man, and the parameters and all that, then it's fine. You could have chosen those values. Like if you're looking at g of x, the values would be the values you should have chosen was firstly a quarter. Why a quarter? Because then it will give you 1. 4 will be minus 1, and log of 1 is 0, so you choose 1 for x as well. But we don't always know the parameters and how log works, because we don't work so with log extensively. That is why we take it from a known source, which is our exponential graph, and then just reflect it. It's so much easier than remembering all the rules that's going into logs. You understand? So again, what do we do for the inverse function? Interchange x and y. So it's going to be x is equal to log x base a quarter. So log y base a quarter. So y is equal to a quarter raised to the exponent x. So again, we draw the table for the inverse function. That is then going to give us 4, 1 and a quarter. So for the inverse function, now interchange x and y. So it's minus 1, 0 and 1. 4, 1 and a quarter. So let's draw that in blue. So if x is 4, y is negative 1. So it's 4 and negative 1. 1 and 0. And a quarter and 1. So the graph comes through like it. And there we go. Okay. So what do you notice about this graph? Opposed to the f of x graph. It's actually reflected in this line here. Not so? So what did the question say? The question says, write down the equation of the line. The equation. So I can't write x-axis. I have to say it's reflected in the line y is equal to 0. No? That's the equation of the x-axis. You all okay with that? Okay, I'm okay with it. Okay, let's carry on with our lives. 1.3. Now in 1.3 I'm not going to change it to the inverse function. Why? Because I'm dealing now with exponential graphs. Not so? So we go straight. We say f of x equals 3 to the x. We choose the following values always when we're busy with inverse functions. Okay, so that's a third, 1 and 3. So we withdraw. Minus 1, 0 and 1. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that would simply be, if x is a third, then now negative 1, y is a third. So negative 1 and a third. 0 and 1. 1 and 3. The graph is coming through again. And this is your f of x graph. We're okay with that? Now g of x, which is minus g of x equal to negative 3 raised to the x. X and y. So is negative a third. Negative 1 and negative 3. So x is negative 1, y is negative a third. Because actually closer to that. So it's negative 1 and a third. And the negative 0 and minus 1. And 3 and 1 and negative 3. So again the graph is coming close to the x-axis. Going through it again. And there we go. That's the equation of g of x. So what do you notice? This graph is again reflected in the x-axis. So we say it's reflected in the line y is equal to. And why didn't we say x-axis? Because they asked for the equation. By saying x-axis, that's not an equation. Okay. Any issues here? No? 1.5. So we got f of x equals 5 to the x. So what do I do here? This is what I'm familiar with, not so. So this would simply be, the values here is x and y, minus 1, 0 and 1. So that's a fifth, 1 and 5. So we got what's the name here? That is grade. Let's go to grade 9. Again, if you guys have a problem with grade 9 graphs, feel free to watch those videos. You can see this, borrowed this from the grade 9. Alright. So x is -1, y is a fifth. -1 and a fifth. So we put in -1 and a fifth. 1 and 0. 0 and 1, sorry. 1 and 5. There we go. There's ones on the graph. So again, we draw close, we don't touch that. And that is your graph of okay. Let's look at the other graph. Now we are sure that the other graph, which is g of x equal to log x base 5, that is not the inverse of f of x. Not so. So what we do? We take the inverse graph. Okay? Inverse graph, which is g of x equals log x base a fifth. What do we do for the inverse function? Interchange x and y. So x is equal to log x base a fifth, log y base a fifth, sorry. Made the same mistake earlier on as well. So y is equal to a fifth raised to the x. So what do I do now? Draw a table, x and y, minus 1, 0 and 1. So that gives you 5, 1 and a fifth. So for the graph itself, for g of x, that will simply give us x and y minus 1, 0 and 1. So that gives you 5, 1 and a fifth. Okay, so we're going to draw the g of x in the blue. So I drew that one in the red already. So the graph itself, if x is 5, y is -1. This is now making up for yesterday's ugly graph, no? Remember? We were very ugly yesterday. So I got 1 and 0. And maybe that is the reason why. No? From here onwards, you guys are going to get better marks. No? So I'm going to try and write neater. Okay. And I'm sure about that. That is the reason. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it's not that you guys are not spending time with the maths and all that. Okay. So that is 1 and 0. And a fifth and 1. There's a fifth. And 1 is there. So this graph again, that asymptote is coming through again, the x-axis. The graph is going through. And this is the g of x graph. Is this a reflection of this graph? Definitely not. Not so. Another way we could have written this equation is it could be written as log negative log x base 5. Not so. Remember, I did this twice or thrice already. I showed you how log x base a fifth can be written as negative log x base 5. So, this wasn't asked yet. So, the question was, is this graph a reflection? The answer is no. There's no reflection. So, I can't write an equation. Not so. But what if the question was, what happens to the graph of f of x to end up with the graph of g of x? Which means to say the graph is going from 5 to the x and ending up with log x base a fifth. And this is a common question I told you that is asked that learners are confused about. How do we get from f of x to this g of x graph? So I would like to try. If you would like to write this question down, you will say, describe the transformation of f of x to g of x. Normally the sum is worth 2 marks, okay? So write the question down. We're going to tackle this question now. What happens to the graph of f of x to get the graph of g of x, so to obtain the graph of g of x? Who would like to try? Okay, not everybody at once. One person. Okay, going from an exponential graph to a log graph, what do we know? It's the nice. What is what would the transformation rule be for moving from for the inverse function? We know it's the reflection. So we start off with f of x. Okay, so f of x is equal to 5 to the x. So you said it's the reflection. Reflection in the line y is equal to x. Not so. So if I do that, what do I get? You interchange x and y. So that would simply be y is equal to 5 to the x. So x is equal to 5 to the y. Y is equal to log x base 5. Not so. So that's what I land up with now, thus form. Not so? So y is equal to log x base 5. So is that y is equal to log x base 5 the same as one of this here? Sorry? Is it the same? No. So how do I get from there to here? Reflection is? Reflection in the, if it's reflected in the y-axis, x become negative. Did the x become negative here? No. What became negative? The y. So that means to say it must be reflected in the x-axis. Can you see that? Reflected in the x-axis, y becomes negative, which is now equal to what they are looking for. Can you see the catch there, people? So y is equal to negative log x base 5. And of course, they're not going to catch you here. So you guys now know the story. No? You can see the hope in your eyes, no? But don't, when you get home, close the hope and you sleep. Right. People, also, this is a very good time to start preparing you now for yourselves for the upcoming June exam. You're going to write 2 papers. Each paper is going to be worth 150 marks, so it's 3 hours long. Okay. So, I start preparing myself now. Every day, you sit at least 1.5 hours on past papers. If you want did I send you the past papers already? Huh? All the past papers. Didn't I send it to you? How do you know it's some? How many did I send you? 2. No, then that is a very, very little. Yeah, since the beginning I'm sending you already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you all 20 now. I'm not exaggerating, not 20. I'm going to send you all, I'm going to only send you the June exams now. No? And then, because the only difference now is that there's 3 topics that we still need to do by the time you write. Is the stats, probability, the last part of probability, the last part of stats, and yeah, that's the 2 that's going to be left over for term 3. Okay, we'll probably do it after the June exam. Very much come to school. Yeah. We still need to do finance, we still need the calculus, the whole of calculus. We have how many weeks? 3 weeks? 4 weeks? Yeah, 4 weeks from today. Yeah, 4 weeks, so we must move, no? You see, I'm taking it a bit slow with you guys. No? It might feel that it's fast. Is it fast? Are we moving fast? No, okay. I almost thought I'm moving too fast. Right, so then we went on to exercise 5, correct? Alright. In exercise 5, you had to do number. So yesterday I did 1.1 out of exercise 5. Is there any problems with 1.2, 3 or 4? Sorry? No, okay. So let's go to exercise 5, number 2 on page 56. Exercise 5, number 2 on page 56. I think this is the last I open. Not the last yet. The exercises feel so long, these chapters. Exercise 5, and it's on page 56. Alzheimer's is setting in. Right, so here we are told in question 2.1 to 2.4, the function is f of x equal to log x base a. The point on the graph is given. Use this information in A to solve A. So I'm going to do number 2.1. 2.2, 3 and 4 is homework. Okay. That's your first part of your okay. So let's do 2.1. So remember, f of x is a log graph. Okay. So what do we say? 2.1. I'm going to move everything up a bit. Okay. So remember, where was this now? Okay. So that was the graph f of x equal to log x base a. So that's going to be log, so f of x equals log x base a. Alright. So the question says find the value of a, or solve a. So how do we solve a? Remember, that is one unknown in this equation. Not so? So what we're going to do is we need 1 point. So we substitute 9 and negative 2 into f of x. Okay? So that's an x and a y. So do the substitution quickly. So what do we have? Negative 2 is equal to log 9 base a. So what do I do now? 9 is equal to a to the negative 2. So remember that that is 1 over a squared, not so? That's 1 over a squared is equal to 9. So what do I do now? Cross multiply. So you get 9a squared is equal to 1. Divide by 9 both sides, take the square root. So a is equal to plus minus. This will be a squared equals 1. Divide by 9 both sides, square root. If I introduce square root, but what must I not forget? Plus minus. But if you look at where a lies, the a and that x always has to be positive. Not so? So you have to say a is going to be a third. So a has to be greater than 0. Okay. You all got that? That is A. Let's look at B. B says, give the equation of the inverse function in that form. I'm sure you guys can do that now, no? So please do that quickly. So what will that be? What do we do for the inverse function? Interchange x and y. So that would be x is equal to log y base a third. So this would be written as y is equal to log x, and y is equal to a third raised to the exponent x. Okay. C. Draw the f of x and the inverse function. Okay. So you're going to draw the f of x and the inverse function. Take it down a bit. So this is the inverse function. So the exponential graph is the easier one of the two for me to work with, not so? So which values do I go here with? Negative 1, 0 and 1. What's the corresponding y values? Work that out for me quickly. I know you guys can do this. Yeah? So I'll be more positive than you guys. Yeah? You're laughing? Shouldn't I be more positive? Huh? So what you guys are going to do differently if I'm more positive? Nothing. Do you? So you're not doing your homework. You guys are doing your homework all the time. Alright, so what do we get? For f of it, for the inverse function, what do we get? 3, 1, and a third. So I can draw that part of the graph. So minus 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So negative 1 corresponds with x is negative 1, y is 3. X is 0, y is 1. X is 1, y is a third. So what do we have? We're decreasing exponential function. And this is the inverse function. All okay with that? And let's take this off here. So we've got a lot of information here. So what is the corresponding y values coming from on this table here? Sorry? Corresponding x value, sorry. 3, 1 and a third. It's coming from here. No? It's coming from there. So plot that points quickly on that graph. X is 3, y is negative 1. X is 1, y is 0. X is a third, y is 1. Graph comes through like that. And this is your function. Whilst the blue one is your inverse function. Not so? So if we draw the inverse and the function, what do? We also always draw the line y is equal to x into the graph as well. Okay, any confusion here? Is the inverse a function? Is this inverse, is this f to the minus 1 a function or not? Yes. What type of function is it? 1 to 1. Why is it a function? What? Yeah, let's see that it's working now. It says give the equation of the function g of x if g of x is symmetrical to f of x with respect to the x-axis. So what does that mean? It's a reflection. It's a reflection in the x-axis. So if something is reflected in the x-axis, what's the rule? The y becomes negative. Now you see it's referring to g of x. And what was the equation of g of x? No. Give the equation of the function. If it's the f of x equation. What's the equation of f of x? F of x was log x base a third. So if it's reflection in the symmetrical about the x-axis, y becomes negative. So what do I write here? Negative y is equals log x base a third. Which now can be written as y is equal to negative log x base a third, or somebody called it out now, well done. Y is equal to log x base a third. Okay. So it's the g of x graph. So the array g of x is equal. Okay. Will you guys understand? Right. He state the domain of g of x. The domain. So now you see that the g of x graph is not drawn here. However, I can draw it in. F of x equation. Where's f of x? This is f of x. No? The graph in red is f of x. So if I reflect that graph in the x-axis, then this point here goes there. Not so. This 1 and 0 remains 1 and 0. And a third and 1 becomes a third and minus 1. Can you see that, people? So what's the question? They wanted the domain of this graph. So what is the domain of g? X. There we go. X is greater than 0. It's easy. We don't have to remember if the x is reflected and what is the... It's easy to draw. Just draw the thing. And I'm sure you can read the domain and the range from the graph itself. You see how easy this is? I'm upset the math is so easy. Alright, so that's that. Log graphs and inequalities. That's your next heading, today's work. It's the last part. Tomorrow we're starting new work. So don't stay at home tomorrow, okay? Shouldn't actually stay at home at all. You guys have plans for tomorrow already? You don't have plans for tomorrow. Your plan is to be at school. Isn't that the plan? Right, this is the examples on page. Sorry, 57. Examples page. Okay, log graphs and inequalities. I'm going to make this one a bit smaller. And this needs to go smaller. I'll take a calculator out. You press for space here. Okay. So here we are told the log inequalities obey the log laws, but can solve inequalities using graphs as well. Okay, so I'm going to put this below here. Bring this down. Okay. Too big. Okay, so we are told to use the graph alongside, in this case below, to answer the following. For which values of x is, the first case, log x base 2 less than or equal to 3. So it's log x base 2 less than or equal to 3. Log x base 2 is which graph? Log x base 2. The graph in red, blue, sorry. Can you see here? Log x base 2. Can you all see? This is the log x base 2 graph. Okay. You all okay with that? So I'm going to draw the graph because graph looks very busy. Okay. So I'm going to take down what I need. So they have this graph looking like that. They have a point T here. This is y is equal to -3. Another point S there. No Q, sir. And you got y is equal to 3. Okay, and you all agree this is a log x base 2 graph. Okay. So the question is, where's log x base 2 less than or equal to 3? So to which point will I go to on this graph? I must go to point Q. Why Q? Because this 3 is a y value. Not so? Alright. So would I shade, if the question says where's log x base 2 less than or equal to 3, do I shade above that the dotted line at Q or below? Below y, it's less than. Not so? So in other words, it's this part of the graph here. Okay. But remember the question is, for which values of x is that the case? Which values of x? So from which value it starts from? Does it start at negative infinity? No, where does it start at? 0 till the x value of q. The x coordinate of q. Not so? You all agree with that? So the continuous or operating solution? Yes, since everybody is saying it's continuous, yes, you're all right. Continuous. Okay. So again, with log x base 2 less than or equal to 3, this is the y is equal to 3 line. Less than is below the line. So that part we need to represent in terms of x. So where does it start? It starts at 0 till q, from there to there. You all agree with that? No. So what is the x value at q? Do we know it? No. However, it can be calculated. Not so? How can we calculate it? By saying log x base 2 is equal to 3. Log x base 2 is equal to 3. So solve for x for me. Log x base 2 is equal to 3. So x is equal to what value? Which value? Value of 8. Okay. Now write for me the inequality which will satisfy that that inequality. which is log x base 2 is less than or equal to 3. Okay, so who can give us the answer? X has to be more than, yes? 0, yes. X has to be less than 8. Nice. But you see, there's an equal sign here. You all see the equal sign? Can I put the equal at 0? No, why not? Because of the tone of my voice. No. I know you guys know this answer. And yes, asymptote, well done. Can it be equal at 8? Yes. Why? Because at 8 it's equal to 3. Can you see that, people? Nice. Not so difficult, no? It's actually easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight in number 3. Is that okay? Why do you think I'm going to go into number 3? Sorry? Why do you think I'm going to do 3 and not 2 first? Yes, you guys are saying it? Yes? They're the same graph, yes. There we go. You see, sometimes the answer is obvious. It's obvious. But you guys are so scared to say it. Okay. So let's look at this graph here, number 3. We've got log x base 2 is greater or equal to negative 3. So at which point are we going to look now at? At point T, yes. Not R, it's point T. Okay, which is this point here. Why? Because we've got a y value of minus 3. You all okay with that? But now the question says, where's log x base 2, which is the graph drawn here, greater or equal to negative 3? So would it be above or below this y is equal to 3 graph? Negative 3. It has to be above. So from that point, above. Continuous or break-in solution? Continues. So it's going from this x value here all the way to infinity. Not so? Do I know that x value? No. However, that x value can be calculated. Not so? How? By saying log x base 2 is equal to negative 3. Okay, so work out the x value for me now. So x is equal to 2 to the negative 3, which is 1 over 8. Not so? So t's coordinate, if needed, is 1 over 8 and negative 3. Now write the inequality for me now. What would it be? What will the inequality be? X is greater than and equal to 1 over 8. You all understand? Let's just do the number 2 and 4 quickly. Just look at number 2. So it's a decreasing log graph. That's y is equal to negative 3. And here y is equal to 3. That's your p value. log x base half, this is log x base half. So where's log x base half less than or equal to minus 3? Here's your minus 3. You all agree it's that part of the graph. Now we have worked out this point here already. Not so. So this was 8. No? And this here was? What was this? 1 over 8. No? So this is 1 over 8. And that is 8. So if you look at where the graph log x base half is less than or equal to negative 3. So here's your negative 3. Less than is this part of the graph. You all agree? So in other words, x must be more than and equal to 8. This is number 2. Let's check number 4. Where's log x base half greater or equal to 3? So there's your 3. It is more than or equal to. So it's above or below? Above. So it's from there all the way to that point. So what is your x value here? 0. Not so. And this x value here? 1 over 8. Is that continuous or break in solution? It's continuous. It must be together. So x is greater than 0 but less than 1 over 8. Can it be equal at the 0? No. Can it be equal at the 8? 1 over 8? Yes. Why can't it be equal at the 0? As simple. Right. For homework. I want you guys to do exercise 6 as well as the revision exercise test topic 3. Somebody must write this down. You're going to do for me questions 1. Revision test topic 3, and this is on page 58. Who's writing it down? You should be able to do. Number 1. Number 2, this is in the form of assignment, ne? This must be handed in as well. With the other one, we must still sort out. So it's number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, sorry, 8, not 7. That's it. Okay. So it's not the whole assignment. Okay. People enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon, class. This is for Monday. No? We're getting a visitor on Monday. So please do the work. They look like I'm doing my job.